Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to Travelers on the Omnibus, the show where we hate to break it to you, but the pole is what spins, not the stripper. My name is Brady Davis.
I'm Ethan Skinner.
I'm James McCarthy. They call that auto stripping.
Think about it. It's gonna really fuck with you.
Is the pole? Wait, you said auto stripping. Is the pole itself stripping? I
No,
thought it
the
was
pole.
just rotating.
The pole rotates.
No, I'm sticking to what Jay said.
The stripper is not spinning around the pole. The pole itself is
The
spinning.
pole is spinning with the stripper
Yes.
on the pole.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But wouldn't that still just be
They're
spinning,
not doing it though. That's the thing.
Okay.
All that money you gave that one stripper, you shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
She wasn't.
Which, by the way,
We got you to turn on your wife.
Yeah, get that one in
Yeah.
really early.
yeah, exactly. That was the perfect time to launch that.
All right. Let's start with Ethan. What have you been doing?
Vigorously cleaning everything. We spent literally the entire week cleaning my entire house for people to come over for my birthday party.
That's a great birthday present. You just have to spend the whole time cleaning up.
Yeah. All my siblings came over. Jay came over late.
Yes. I never show up early to birthdays.
Yeah, he always the last one to come, but the last one to leave.
Yes, exactly.
Had
Once the food is gone, Jay's gone, baby.
Yep. Mhm.
had some friends from work come over. Cameron came over. Just card games, board games. Jay introduced Ready Set Bets to my siblings.
Okay.
To where my sister texted me at 3:00 in the morning asking, "Hey, what game was that we played?"
That's the power of that game. I'm telling you that right now. We did a thing instead of a bop it up and go. He has an Alexa, and so I was able to summon songs. It was great.
What was the last one?
Raining Blood by Slayer.
Yeah.
Just
Wow.
rolling dice. Oh, so good.
It was
so
it was
good.
an amazing time. And then we ended with Ready Set Bet. Before that, we played Crokinole.
Okay.
To which Dale and Dylan, they were very confused, but they enjoyed it.
Dylan had it. Dylan was like a little off.
Dalen was laughing at you. That's what she was doing.
To be fair, she was pretty terrible at the game.
Yes.
Mhm.
But it was all a fun time. And then we ended the entire night with me, Jay, and Dylan playing Nidhogg.
And Nidhogg 2. I prefer Nidhogg 2, not just because of the graphical upgrade.
Mhm.
There's more weapons. Because Nidhogg is, you have a fencing sword. Or your
Just
fist.
fencing.
This the Nidhogg 2 adds a great sword,
Mhm.
a bow and arrow, and
A
a dagger.
Okay.
And if you select it, feet.
Yeah. You can also do karate kicks, and it's fun, very fun.
It is
That's pretty
amazing.
cool.
But yeah, it was a very, very pleasant time. I enjoyed everyone coming over.
We helped set up his new gaming monitor.
Yeah, Bianca, not only did she give me the PlayStation Portable last month,
Mhm.
but she also got me a new computer monitor.
Yeah, she was telling us about how all the money that she spent on you for your birthday.
Yeah, I feel absolutely grateful, and
Which is a shame because
We got you to turn on your wife.
It's too bad she doesn't listen to these, so she'll never know this.
she'll never know it.
Mhm.
but
It'll be weird. This is the first fucking episode. Oh, I want to. He's talking about his birthday, he's about his presents. It's gonna be so great, and
We got you to turn on your wife.
Jesus. But,
that's one of my best maniacal laughs in a while.
That was a
too.
good amount.
that is a pretty good one.
Mhm.
But no, everything was orchestrated by Bianca, and I'm
Mhm.
forever thankful and grateful for her.
Bianca, if you ever listen to this, I'm drinking pickle juice right now.
Yes. But that's me.
Okay. All right. Jay, if you're done drinking pickle juice, what have you been up to?
I've completed my pickle juice assignments. So, I should have also mentioned in the preamble before we started recording. Yeah, Ready Set Bet, the High Roller edition came in.
Yep.
I'm just talking very briefly on that. It is the exact same game, just the production value is way up. Set of cardboard chips. You have actual like casino checks. Like they're weighty. They're nice. They fling it on the table way more accurately. I love them to death.
Mm-hmm.
The horses are about 6 times bigger, and the track for them is about 3 times bigger. So
Yeah.
it's very easy for them to stand up and walk them down.
Mm-hmm.
The horses have great names, like the 2-3 horses. 23 Skidoo, 11 to 12 is late breakfast. I really love that.
For sure.
I signed up to the AEG newsletter, so because of that, in addition to the Kickstarter, I also got the Magnificent Seven horse, which is a gold horse, and it's going to be one of the sevens. So that's pretty cool. I also got the pack where it's all of the horses. They're named after games from AEG. I think they did.
Okay.
This is a fantastic production for an amazing game. Probably top 10 now for me. Probably
Okay.
top. I think one game has fallen out of my top 5 since 3 years ago and has been replaced by a game that's actually sitting on this table right now. But other than that list doesn't really move that often.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty cool. I decided to go on an RPG kind of spree for the Switch before the Switch 2 comes out. The rumors are that it's coming out in June. Which that would be amazing.
I heard July. That's what I heard.
I heard June and July. So we'll see on that. April 2nd is the Nintendo Direct, which I think we will be recording on that day. So that is probably going to be something that a bunch of us are going to be talking about.
There'll be much topics.
So that's going to be pretty cool. But yeah, I picked up Super Mario RPG during Mario Day week. It was on sale on Amazon for $30.
I've seen it on sale a couple of times and was very tempted.
Yeah, that's arguably one of the best RPGs I've ever played. Squaresoft did a fantastic job, and I call them Squaresoft there because it was Squaresoft before the merger with Enix. But I think it's gonna be fun to play that in like a updated variety.
As someone that played it for the first time whenever it came out originally on the Switch, I very much enjoyed it.
Mallow is like one of my favorite, and not just because he's initially introduced to you as a tadpole and like he may be a frog. That does help, but I love he's got a cool story arc. Gino has a really cool story arc. I love those characters, so it's very good there. I picked up Suikoden 1 and 2, the remasters, also on the Switch. I was initially going to get them on Steam, and the more I thought about it, these games scream console, specifically the PlayStation 1. But these are games that should be played on a console. So when I saw those were available on Amazon, I picked those up as well. And then finally, I picked up, and it's going to be coming in tomorrow. I've been seeing the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters for the Switch at around $75 to $100 over the past about year or so. And a seller on Amazon was offering it for $40, and I snapped that up as quickly as I possibly could.
Oh yeah.
I've already got them on Steam, and I've beaten 1, 2, and 3 on there. I've got 4 actually queued up to install, but I think I'm going to switch over to the Pixel remasters on Switch and play them that way. So I've got a lot of RPGs to kind of tide me to the end of the year. There's one RPG left on and it's specifically on the Switch that I need to pick up, and that was the remake of Paper Mario: 1,000-Year Door.
Oh yeah,
which is arguably
that's another one that's on my list.
Yeah, which is arguably the best Paper Mario they ever did, and legitimately, in my opinion, probably top 5 RPG of all time.
Yeah.
So that's that I kind of damning with high praise there. Let's stay on RPGs, but let's go analog for a bit. On Tuesday, the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game Spider-Verse expansion came out. I can't remember his name. I'm looking for it. Yeah, Matt Forbeck. Matt Forbeck is the guy behind, one of the guys behind the team that's putting these out. Matt Forbeck also puts out, I believe, the Marvel Encyclopedia. So if you want to know, so if you want to know about authenticity, this is coming from a story authentic. These are the characters. This is what has been going on, and it's very comprehensive. I shout out to the X-Men expansion for really going in through 60 years of some of, in my opinion, the hardest lore, because there are so many start-stop resets with the X-Men and with mutants just in general. Spider-Verse, right now, first impressions of it, I really like the book. It's formatted similarly to the X-Men book. The section on heroes is very heavy in the S's. Go figure. But yeah, it's a very good production, and I've been enjoying just kind of tearing through it, giving me a little bit of ideas to adapt the Marvel RPG game that I'm hoping to be running at least the one-shot first session of soon, and then maybe further down the line this year.
Yeah,
although we still got a lot in the train that we got to get done with.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk more about the Marvel RPG and superhero RPGs on my thing, but just because I went and got the I finally broke down and got the X-Men expansion. I've had the base book for a while. It seems like the books are really, really catered towards people running the game.
Yeah.
They give some extra stuff for like powers and stuff like that. But it seems like it's a lot of like, here's some information on, like for X-Men, it's like, here's this X team and here's how you run a game if you want to use this X team, and here's maps and stuff over there, and here's hooks and everything. So
I think the effect of that is definitely to help the storyteller or
Yeah.
the GM more. But I think that's in there because this is coming from a man whose job has been to
Yeah.
encyclopedize the Marvel.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because it's also, if you just want to read some information on these specific things in for like the Spider-Verse or X-Men or anything like that, I think it's also good with that. I just think that it is a little bit less geared towards, like, you know, if you play D&D and you have the player's handbook, you know, there are many of those are really good for players to also get, you know, like Xanthar's Guide and that that gives you a lot of options and things like that. And this one, I think is more towards like a thing that's geared towards the people running the game. But they are good, like the X-Men one that I flipped through the Spider-Man one when you got here today, and then looked at the X-Men one, and they are really, really good. It's interesting stuff. It's good stuff.
September, the next book is supposedly going to be out, and that's going to be the Avengers
Yes.
source book.
Mhm.
So I'm very
That's already
happy.
out on pre-order.
I'm very happy with the direction that they've gone with a lot of this. So I'm looking forward to basically more Marvel multiverse throughout the remainder of the year.
Yeah.
And I believe, yep, that's it for me, brother.
All right. Well, I guess since we ended on that with you, I'm gonna keep. I've been actually going down an RPG, a superhero RPG rabbit hole, because we are going to be very soon doing the one shot for Marvel. I've been rereading, re-looking through the book and thinking of character ideas and things like that, and kind of refamiliarizing myself with the system. I do think I do like the system. The system is very simple, to be honest. There's only a handful of rules, really. Like you look at a sheet and it looks kind of complicated, but it's actually not really that complicated. It just kind of gives you all the information that you would need to play on that. So it has a lot of stuff on it. But I really do like that. I've also a while back I got the Sentinels of the Multiverse RPG on sale.
I didn't even know they came out with an RPG.
Yes, yeah. It's pretty cool as well. I like that system as well. Sentinels of the Multiverse is the world that's based on the game by the same name, the core card/board game. And yeah, that one's really interesting. It actually has it to where like the environment and takes its own turn, and you do things during the environment and different things. The the way you like build a dice pool with that is interesting, and then like you're usually rolling like 3 dice, and they could be of different sizes, but you're usually like either taking the highest roll, the mid roll, or the lowest roll, that you take to do different things. It's very interesting. And then I also Bundle of Holding had Tiny Supers on sale, which is a kind of stripped down superhero thing. It had the core book with a lot of like extra books and things like that, and a ton of adventures for only like $13. And I was like, well, let me get that. They also have the Wild Sea bundle on sale for $20.
John was telling me about that. Yeah,
I'm probably gonna I got Tiny Supers because it only had like 9 hours left to do. Ethan, if that is something you're interested in, I have it on my 2 terabyte external hard drive, so I can.
I'm currently looking at it now. It looks interesting.
It is very interesting. You're usually only rolling 1 or 2, maybe 3 d6 to do things, and it seems to get a lot of mileage from just that very simple thing there. Yeah, it looks like a very interesting one. It has like one of the books is like you want to play like street level heroes, like in basically Gotham City or Daredevil or something like that. You can do that. It's got a whole bunch of adventures. I was looking through that while I was rewatching Con Air because I just wanted something to know. That is such an insane movie that
Yeah.
when you're really watching it, looking for that stuff, Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah. So off of that tangent, yeah, I've just kind of like gone down this little rabbit hole of like all these superhero RPGs, because that's another, I think, interesting subsection of RPGs. I've been, people who have been listening to this know that I've been kind of obsessed with like hoarding these RPGs lately, but now I've gotten on this kick because I think it's a cool little extra thing, or a little subset. So there's that. I finished. I'm sorry. I'm starting to worry about this Black Box of Doom.
Jason Park.
Yeah, Jason Pargin. Really good book. I really liked it. Has a lot to do with like online culture and the prevalence of like things like anxiety and different things like that in our modern day culture. It's a very, very, very good book. I liked it a lot. I think I still like the John dies at the end stuff better. I think I've enjoyed those more. This one did feel like you could, okay, I kind of get what you're like. I get the gist of what you're trying to, at least, the concepts that you're trying to bring up. But yeah, it was still pretty good. And it wasn't as funny as some of his other books, but I think it was still a good book and with interesting characters.
Do you believe that he was trying to be more serious with this one, or just that the comedy didn't
No, I think this one is just less, there is just less comedy and less jokes, but there's some crazy shit that happens that you like laugh and you're like, oh shit, I didn't know we were going to be doing this. It goes in a direction I did not see. And there were some really like, at the end, there were some revelations that kind of like hit me. I was like, oh shit, I'm kind of feeling some emotions here. So, yeah, I think it's just was written as to not be as strong of a comedy with like his other books don't just have like joke, but like the situations are usually very funny and silly and over the top. And these kind of were, but it was also, I think also some of it was like, there's nothing in this book that could not happen. Like it's a realistic book.
Okay.
In fact, some of the things in this book have fucking happened. If you read the book, you will understand what I'm talking about there. But yeah, I would definitely, recommend it. I also finished I've had a busy week. I finished the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. campaign. I played it with Maria Hill. And she's busted. She's absolutely busted, especially in solo mode.
All of those helicarriers to me feel broken, and she has all of them.
Yes, and she can have all of them, and she can constantly fuel them. Because a helicarrier is really expensive at 6 costs, which is a very expensive card. But she can usually always pay for them. And she has the ability to they use counters to do things, and there's one specific one called the Pericles. It is protection, and you tap it, remove a counter from it. It comes with 2 counters, and you place a status card, which can be confused, stun, or tough, on a villain or a hero, and then you put a status card on a ally or a minion. So you could just I was never attacked by the villain the entire game. I played through 5 scenarios and was never attacked by the villain. Everything that things that would trigger off of me attacking didn't happen because I never attacked with my person, because she also has the Iliad, which is her personal helicarrier in her deck, which you can tap it to remove a counter from it to do one of 3 things: deal 5 damage to a target, remove 4 threat from a scheme, or heal somebody 3 damage. It's insane. I never ran out of counters on any of those because she has so many ways to manipulate the counters on them and add counters to them and move counters from here to there. I never had to worry about that. I never got less than 5 health. I really don't even fully understand how the people work, because she broke how they work. I think if you want to play with Maria Hill and you want to actually have an interesting, challenging game, you cannot play with the Pericles. The Pericles breaks things too hard because she's never going to get rid of it.
Well, maybe in solo mode, but like if you're
Definitely
playing
in solo mode,
multiplayer-
but I think even in multiplayer, like it would make things like she as the deck that I built was. I didn't build it. I got the list. But as that deck was, and how most decks with her are made, I think can still be quite overwhelming. I think she with the right build, I think she without like a limiting build is up there with like the top people. Personally, like she's ridiculous. I didn't get to play. I haven't gotten to play with Nick Fury. I have a deck built. I need to run through some stuff with him. I do like every single one of them, the things that they did with the people, with the villains. I do think that they are interesting. I feel like, spoilers, Zemo at the end is going to be a little tedious because he brings in the evidence and the thing. He basically brings in things from you have to play with the pieces of the campaign with him. The campaign I thought was fine with the little extra things that they do there. That was like one of the least intrusive like campaign stuff. But I am interested in like playing a full real quote unquote real game with each of these people. But I do like all the little things that they do. Batroc is actually one of the more interesting ones because he feels like you were actually sneaking into his like compound to rescue people and take care of it. So that's everything was pretty interesting. I liked it, but you really have to like build Maria Hill if you want her to not be ridiculous. You have to build her in a different way if you want to actually be challenged in the game, I think. And the last thing I want to talk about is some music related stuff. Apparently this is going to be a good year for music for me because
it was a good week last week because you got
Yeah.
like 3 of them just back to back
yeah.
to back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just real quick, Ghost released a new song, and then they announced a new album. I'm super excited about that. Skeletor. Then not too long, not like a week later, Sleep Token released a new song called Emergence, and they released
With jazz sax out of fucking
Yeah.
nowhere.
yeah,
Oh
they
my
got
God.
got some jazz sax at the end of
I
it.
listened to it on the way to work, and I was like, "Oh, this is amazing, jazz."
Yeah. And I'm wondering if that's Vessel playing the saxophone because everything before this he has done like all the instrumentation from except for the drums. The bassist and the guitarist are technically, I think they're more full members now, but they were technically like tour like people that he just hired for the tour. But I think they've more become full, but I think he still like does a lot of stuff on that.
There's a YouTube channel, Drumeo, that does like interviews with various
Yeah.
artists, and he did the drummer for Sleep Token, and is also him playing drumming to different songs while also an intermission to answer questions.
Yeah, he would talk about the different things in his drum techniques and everything. That was really, really cool. You also got to see, because when they do the summoning live, he does a drum solo in the kind of slow part before before it turns into a funk song. He does a drum solo, and you actually got to see that. But yeah, the Sleep Token album is Even in Arcadia, which is a cool name.
The vinyl for it looks sick.
Yeah,
It looks amazing.
Yeah. I'm super excited. There's been kind of some lore drops that seem very interesting. We've already seen what Vessel's his new thing looks like. His mask now, instead of the red on the bottom, has a gold, which looks cool, and he's got some more. His outfit always just kind of evolves a little bit. It wasn't quite like Ghost, where like every album, like they change their look drastically, but you can see like as he goes on, like he adds stuff to it and different things like that. It's I'm really, really excited. And also, one of my other favorite bands, Coheed and Cambria, dropped their 10th studio album, which is Vaxis 3, Father of Make Believe. This is their 3rd album in this current five album saga. Yeah. The last album A Window of the Waking Mind. I liked it, but I mostly really liked the singles that came off the album. A lot of the album I wasn't like super crazy about and haven't went back to a whole lot besides the singles. This album I think is very, very, very good. This is one of their best albums in quite a while. Yeah, the story of this album is very interesting because at the very end of the last, like the story of the last album, because every one of their albums has stories. A character from one of their previous albums shows back up, which is very, very interesting. Unfortunately, I got like a link to download it because I got the special edition of this. The special edition is actually I'm not going to get the physical copy until April because there was some production thing with in China that they had issues with, which is very frustrating. But at least I got to download the album and listen to it, so that's cool. This one is a very interesting album. It has a lot of not necessarily callbacks, I don't think, but like I will listen to a song and be like, oh, this part of this song reminds me of this album, or this part of this song reminds me of this this song from this album. Like they kind of it feels like some of the things that they do is return to some of their older sounds and things, but it still feels like a new thing. It doesn't feel like they're just retreading old stuff. But you know, if you've listened to enough of their music, you will get like, oh yeah, this sounds like this is cool. Favorite, they also go back to in a lot of their older albums, they would do a they would kind of have a section of their albums where it would be like for example, in their second album, there are 3 songs that the first part of the title is the Camper Valorum, the Camper Valorum 1, 2, and 3, and it's kind of in the middle of the album, and it's kind of like a side thing that happens with the characters. Usually it happens at the end, and they kind of go back to that where the last 4 songs they start off being named Continuum 1, 2, 3, and 4. And those are my favorite songs off the album, especially 1, 2, and 3. Continuum 1 is Welcome to Forever, Mr. Nobody. Then it's The Flood. Then it's Tethered Together. Those 3 songs are phenomenal. I've listened to the album all the way through a couple of times. I've listened to those 3 songs like over and over and over. They're really, really good. Yeah, it's great stuff. If you maybe used to be interested in Coheed and just kind of fell off with them, I would say definitely check this one out. I am really, really liking it. And there are some like different things. There are some songs that sound that go in different directions that I haven't heard. But it's kind of, they're getting away. The last album had a lot of like synths and 80s feel, which just from them I didn't particularly love. But this one kind of goes back to being more of the pure prog rock, which is cool. So yeah. So that's what I've been doing. Oh, we didn't mention Jody's not here.
Oh shit!
Huh. Would you look at that? Anyway,
This is awkward, and he's not here for it to be awkward.
Yeah.
His aura looms long.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I forgot something,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen. Rookie Watch! Oh my god.
shit.
oh fuck.
Episode 10 of the season, episode 118 all time.
Good God Almighty.
It's been around longer than I realized it has been, but it's the episode's
Isn't
name is
this like season 6 or something
7.
like that?
This is
Season
the 7th
7.
season, yes. So the episode's called Chaos Agent.
Okay.
So it opens up with the comedy the comedy foil. I want to call him Benny. It's not Benny. God damn it. I'll remember. Smitty. Thank you. Jesus. You know this. It's my bit or section. I don't know what to call it anymore. Anyway, so Smitty has like 13 donuts and he wants to sneak into an office to eat all 13 donuts.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a raccoon in the station and he freaks out, and then the raccoon steals all of the donuts. And so they send one of the rookie officers to go hunt down the raccoon. Also, there's a recurring character annoys the shit out of John Nolan,
Yeah.
aka Nathan Fillion, where he always sings songs about him being cop daddy, and apparently he's dating Selena, which was just recently Nolan's rookie that he was training. And so that brought him much consternation. So, so this is going to be a lighthearted episode. 30 seconds later, 3 children are nearly stabbed to death in Griffith Park. Jesus Christ. That 180 so fucking fast. It was ridiculous. So now they there's 3 children that were stabbed, and like, oh my God, who stabbed these children? You find out that the children stabbed the children.
What the fuck?
2 of the children stabbed the 3rd one because she was a bully to them.
Oh, okay.
But who gave them that idea to do it? Ethan, who gave them the idea to do it? Did you watch the episode?
I've seen bits and pieces. I don't know.
Do you know?
I think it was
No. Then shut up.
I don't know.
Brady. Who? You get one guess.
Did the raccoon do it?
No. It was an AI chatbot named Zuzu.
What the fuck?
And then the AI chatbot starts so John Nolan calls the AI chatbot, and then the chatbot starts talking to Nolan, and he knows his social security number and that his wife wants a blue watch for her birthday. Also, in the same episode, the prisons are over. They have a prison riot, so they send 40 people to just lock them up at the precinct for right now. Everything will be fine. Nope. The computers go down. You know that because there's a big gray box that says system failure, because that's what happens when computers go down.
Yeah.
How could it get worse? The power goes out. One of the inmates has got to pee. He looks like an accountant. Everything should be fine. So Smitty takes him to the close by restroom because that's what because he's the lazy guy and he's comedy. Only he gets the shit kicked out of him and his gun is stolen. So now we have an armed prisoner who actually is assaults cops on a regular basis. And he's like, what? Why are we just here? What is going on? And so they're hunting him down in the storerooms of the precinct, and it's all dark, and the dude's got the drop on one of the officers, and he's about to shoot him, and then the raccoon saves him. The raccoon makes a distraction and saves him, and then the power comes back on, and they find out that the girls tried to murder their bully, and that there's an AI chatbot that loves John Nolan now, and this happened in one 48-minute episode.
That seems like it's way too much for one episode.
I couldn't keep up. I absolutely couldn't keep up because again, it starts out we're gonna this is gonna be a fun comedy episode. Oh, excuse me. So there was one other thing. So they've got all of the inmates in the building, right? And Selena, that's John Nolan's ex-rookie. Her boyfriend, the one who's annoys the shit out of John Nolan, he got all of his shit stolen, had the words "die" written on his fucking house. And it turns out how he annoys John Nolan, he annoys every fucking person in the world doing this because he sings songs at them that are ha ha ha, no, it's just a joke, man. Except one person didn't take it as a joke. So everything's going crazy in the precinct. And so they take time to literally do a music video for 2 minutes in the episode where the dude's just the world's fucking rough and man, and then that dude's looking at me and he wants to fucking jump in. And then the dude jumps him. Literally, the cop has an inmate and the inmate breaks away and the singer dude throws his guitar so it doesn't get broke and he gets the shit kicked out of him. The absolute shit just beaten the fuck out of him. 48 minutes of fucking television. The Rookie. And that's Rookie Watch for this week, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, what else can you say to that except, Jay, do we have any feedback?
No feedback this week. I don't think I was emotionally capable of dealing with it had we had it. However, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to leave feedback on this or any of our previous episodes, email us at travelersontheomnibus@gmail.com. Again, that is travelers, 1L on the omnibus at gmail.com. Jody's Ghost, how else can they get in touch with us? Ooh, Spotify. Yes, you can comment directly on episodes on Spotify. You can also take part in any of our active polls on any of our current and past episodes. And ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you being passengers on the bus. If you've been enjoying what you've been listening to and would like to share that with other people, we are available on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music through our YouTube channel, Travelers on the Omnibus, and iHeartRadio.
And with that, we'll move on to our main topic.
Wait, where's Ethan?
Oh, shit. Our main topic today is going to be a little discussion and kind of history of handheld gaming. It's going to include, some of the big ones that you're probably already thinking about to like the little failures, to the big failures, to some
The
things
not so
that
big
the not so
failures.
big failures, or the things that are just kind of nostalgic for us. We put together a Ouija board in between, and we summoned Jody's spirit, and so we're gonna start off with hearing from Jody
Jody's,
about
previous thoughts.
Jody's thoughts on this.
His ghost can have current thoughts. I swear to God.
Yeah, current thoughts, sure. We'll kick it to Jody to start us off with what he what his mindset is, because he named off some things to talk about, but I only know one of them, and that's it.
I know none of them.
So let Jody's spirit know that he can speak now, Jay.
All right, Jody from beyond, from the afterverse. We need you.
I coming in from the Phantom Zone, here to speak about the non-sequential history of handheld gaming, and I like Brady's terminology there, because that's actually where it starts, is handheld gaming and not handheld video gaming, because it starts around 78, actually 78, 79 is when a trio of companies almost at the same time start manufacturing handheld, either LCD or mechanical gaming devices. Parker Brothers and Mattel both had originally released the rudimentary LCD sports titles, such as football, baseball, and bowling, each of them having separate forays into that marketplace, which is crazy to me, because before I researched any of that, I didn't know it went all the way back to 78, 79. Blows my mind. Also, about the same time, over the pond in Japan, Bandai was also working on handheld LCD games as well. And eventually, when arcade games started becoming more popular, they would actually be the first to start making LCD versions of games like Zaxxon and the like. One more thing before I hand it over to the next person that I wanted to say that I found out through research. The reason why.
Oh no, it's cut out.
Guys,
Oh, thank God! Wait, no, you cut out for a second. It's like, oh no, the spirit world is in turmoil.
can you hear me now?
Yes, we can
Yeah.
absolutely hear you now. I was scared for your spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it depends on like what version of what we're talking about. But anyway, Bandai came up with the handheld interface style that would be completely ripped off by Nintendo, and they would slap a clock on it and call Game & Watch so they wouldn't get sued, because Bandai came up with that specific model first. So there's that little nugget of information. So yeah, that's the very beginning though. And there's also one more foray. It's odd. It's like a side thing, but at the same time, there were games that were passed on as electronic handheld games, but were actually made out of mechanical parts and made by Tony, such as Hit and Missile, and they made a couple of other ones that if you actually saw the game, you'd be like, that's not digital, and you'd be correct. It's analog, but they put things in there to make it look like it was a digital game because they didn't know how to do that. So they were trying to mimic what what Bandai and Mattel and Parker Brothers were doing, but they couldn't. So they tried to do it as much as possible by making it look like they did, but they didn't. All right, passing the baton.
All right, Jody. Thank you. I know you are resting in peace, and we disturbed that peace, and we apologize. We've got the resurrection stuff in order for you to come back next week because we gotta have you hosting, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Also, before I go, you can cut this out if you need to. Call me when you wrap up so that we can do the random thing to decide on who gets what movie.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
We'll leave everybody in suspense until that moment. Also, real quick. Oh wait, no, never mind. I added a new button to the pad. When next we meet, you'll hear it. It's gonna be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's gonna be good.
Cool deal.
All right. Well, we will.
The rest of your episode.
We will resummon you from the ether at a short time from now.
Sure thing.
All right. Have a good one. Bye bye.
All right.
I'm really glad we put that Phantom Zone projector in the budget this year.
Yeah.
It's really paying off.
No, absolutely.
You never know when one of us is going to get trapped in the Phantom Zone.
I think that has been a better purchase than the Roadcaster.
Yeah.
Like the Roadcaster makes it us able to do this, but now we can talk to ghosts.
Yeah.
And ghosts are cool.
I personally like the calendar.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. We also have a monthly planner now. That
I personally like
it's
that
an
one.
analog.
We're getting professional.
Yeah, I
with this
know
shit.
exactly. The first instance of a Mattel electronic was Mattel's Auto Race from 1976.
Mm-hmm.
And then the year later, you're going to get Mattel's Electronic Football. And then, yes, Parker Brothers kind of does some things. Coleco does some same things as well. He mentioned Tomy briefly. One of the first handheld versions of Pac-Man was done by Tomy, which I think was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember, I think my brother, who was like 10 years older than me, 10, 11-ish, 10 and a half, I think, years older than me. So while I was a child, I was born in the 80s, but I was really a child of the 90s. He was, a child of the 80s. So he had like I vividly remember him having electronic football. I think he had baseball as well, but I could never figure them out. So I would like turn it on and lights would flash and I'd be like, I don't know what the hell is going on with this. I was young, so I probably didn't curse when I said that. But
I would also at this point like to make a refutation to one ghostly Jody. I want to talk about the Game & Watches real quick. So the story that is told by Nintendo is Gunpei Yokoi, one of the great video game designers of this age, or of any age, I should say. He is on a bullet train going home, and the gentleman next to him is sitting down. And he's got an LCD calculator, and he's bored out of his mind. And he just starts tapping buttons to like make things show up on the calculator screen and clear and do that. And that's when it's like, oh, this could be something. And so that's where the impetus for the Game & Watch series comes from. Later versions of the Game & Watch also, it's how do we want to control these things? So he creates this thing which we now call the D-pad, the directional pad. The directional pad does not start at the Famicom / Nintendo Entertainment System. It starts on the Game & Watches.
Yeah, Nintendo though is they're the company that first put this thing out.
Yeah, put the D-pad out, and then that's where that comes from.
Which is probably top 3 innovations in gaming.
I would argue, name a console after Game & Watch. Name a console after the Game & Watch that doesn't have either the D-pad or some form of the D-pad.
Yeah.
Like even when you get like the dual axis control, not the dual axis, the dual thumbstick controllers out of the PlayStation, and and
it still has a D-pad.
Even when the 64 had its primary control be that directional joystick in the middle, right there on the left, D-pad still there. Like that is one of the most clever innovations in the history of gaming. 100%.
It's not easily been replaced because, like you said, even if they have like the analog thumbsticks, they pretty much everything still has the digital D-pad that's right next to it.
I play Soul Calibur 6, and that game, because it's 8-way directional movement, you would think the thumbsticks would be what I would prefer. No, I use that D-pad is way easier to use on a PlayStation controller playing Soul Calibur 6 than it is using the thumbsticks. That's just me.
And we're going to talk about Nintendo a whole lot during this because they're kind of like the titan of this thing. I know one of so I was looking through, and one of the first ones that gets brought up is like a a handheld video game type thing is Milton Bradley puts out the Microvision in 1979. This one it's a weird one because there was like this central thing, and it's the idea of like you have different games that you can use for it. It's not just for one thing. I think the Game & Watches, they were all their own kind of thing,
So
right?
they're their own games. Yeah.
From what I saw, it's the first handheld game that had interchangeable cartridges.
Yeah, and the cartridge had like the buttons and everything for it. So like it had most of the hardware
So
as long
each
as the
cartridge was
soft.
tailor made to be played
From-
on itself.
Yeah.
Basically.
From what I saw, imagine the size of the brick phone that you change the faceplate of, and each faceplate already has its own buttons to turn it on.
Mhm. Yeah, it looked kind of like a big cell phone type deal.
The brick
Which-
phone.
Coinciding with that, and this can knock out one of the two that we didn't know. Parker Brothers version was called the Merlin.
Mhm.
And so you had the Merlin, and I think what is evidenced in, especially in this history, out of necessity, but I think throughout the history of handheld gaming, is simple games.
Mhm.
Simple games play way easier on handhelds
Yes.
because a handheld is portable. You're taking it out with you. You can't really typically
Mhm.
devote hours of time to. Although there are some games that kind of exist in
Mhm.
that. I looked to SquareSoft, and what we got is Final Fantasy Legend, but with the original Seiken Densetsu.
Mhm.
That is a game that takes a little bit more time. It's a lot less involved
Mhm.
than a harder RPG would have been, but it has its origin. It originates in the handheld area.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, you have a lot of these early ones. Coleco actually had a bunch of 2-player electronic games. I think
Mhm.
they actually may have had the first ever 2-player electronic football. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I do know that they had their own electronic football game out of there, and they had a 2-player game series.
Yeah, until we get to and really like the Microvision, it was a failure. Really and truly, like these were all kind of failures until we get to the big one.
There are more corpses than there are walking soldiers.
Oh yeah. There the list of failures in this that I just wrote down that I thought were interesting, is almost as big as like Nintendo's side of this. We've got the Intex Select-A-Game and Adventure Vision in 1981 and 1982. The Palm Text in 1984. The Epoch Game Pocket Computer in 1984. These are kind of leading up until we get kind of the big one,
Yeah.
which is in 1989, the Game Boy.
Yeah.
This kind of like exploded onto the scene, and like you say, with if I'm not mistaken, the kind of first things to come out for the Game Boy, and the thing that really drove it was Tetris.
Well, no, it was the pack-in game. Like
Yeah,
when
it was
I
the
got
packing
my
game.
when I
By
got
the
my
time I
Game
got
Boy,
mine, it was Link's Awakening.
yeah, which is another example of a game that I think would have had like a longer tail as far as playing it
Mhm.
goes, but because of it being on the handheld, it's a shorter
Yeah.
thing. It's basically been arranged to like gobble it up in
Yes.
bites rather than like
Mhm.
one sit down session. But what's that movie with Taron Egerton?
Oh, I think it's just called
Tetris.
Tetris.
It's just
It
Tetris.
is
Okay,
just
yeah.
called Tetris.
Yeah, and the big scene about that, and I don't know if that how close to accurate that was, but I
Mhm.
think what he says in that movie is perfectly acceptable.
Mhm.
Super Mario Land is a fun Super Mario
Yes.
game. It's also different.
Yeah, very different.
It's different. Like it's 4 levels, and the second and fourth level they end with you being either in a submarine or in an airplane shooting shit, and that's
Yeah.
it's very weird and strange, but still kind of cool. But if you want a game that is pick up and go and like you can play and you can devote time to it, but most of it is going to be a session. It's like, okay, I'm at lunch. I
Mhm.
finished my lunch. I got about 10 minutes. Let me see how these bricks can fall.
Yeah.
I think that was an absolute
Mhm.
godsend for that system. I think they did it absolutely right. And even though Tetris, I think, is an Atari property and still kind of was, because, or
Mhm.
rather, they had the home PC rights.
Mhm.
They didn't have the home console rights,
Yeah.
and that was the wrong choice.
Mhm.
You still have like some version, like the original quote unquote more faithful version of Tetris is the Tengen version of Tetris that you would see in arcades.
Mhm.
That one's also a cool version of that game, but good God, like Nintendo's Tetris on
Yeah.
the Game Boy, that is
But
I would
yeah.
argue that was like that helps propel. Also, I think being a part of the Game Boy helps propel Tetris to be one of the most purchased games of all time.
Definitely.
Another point with that. Up until now, all of these like handheld games, they are catered towards young kids before they're even teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
The Game Boy with Tetris is not only is not specific for the kids, but it's also catered towards. This is a game that adults could also enjoy.
It's a puzzle game, so like there's no
age limit on it.
There's no age limit. There's no like, oh, this is for kids.
Even Lego goes to 99.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But no, like Tetris, no, you can be
But
whatever.
yeah,
age.
Game Boy is like just a revelation, D-pad, two buttons, that green and black, screen.
That
with
green and like off black. You
off
can't-
black,
Yeah, you can't like. Why can't it be in color? Well, we can talk about contemporaries.
Wait a few years.
Well, no, just even like within a year, Atari Lynx comes
Mhm.
out. It is a full color system. Eventually, Sega comes in the market with the Game Gear. I would argue, play wise, Game Gear is more than fine. I think it is a good system for games. It was not a good system if you wanted to keep the thing powered.
Yes.
Because
a lot of the failures suffered from the short battery life.
Yeah.
If it didn't do as well, and this is like the Game Boy used 4 AA's, and it felt like I know when I was a kid, it felt like they ran for fucking ever. Like it did not feel like I had to change those very often. I could be wrong because, as a kid, you don't pay attention to things necessarily like that. But you did not have to like switch batteries out that often with a Game Boy. And that was because it was, it only had the 2 colors. So like it was using less power to run these. It didn't have like a backlight or anything like that. So it was using less power. The Game Gear, its main thing was the battery life was the
I
problem.
had a Game Boy. A buddy of mine had the Lynx,
Mm-hmm.
and our 6th grade trip for St. Alphonsus, we went to space camp
Mm-hmm.
in Huntsville, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had Metroid 2 Return of Samus,
Mm-hmm.
which arguably is one of the best handheld games of all time.
Yeah.
That I want to say Link's Awakening is in there. The first Sonic game for the Game Gear is also really high on my list is in that regard too. Tetris, obviously. But I played that thing to almost finish, and like once we were back at the hotel, like and just hanging out at the hotel, his Lynx had to have its batteries replaced twice.
Mm-hmm.
Once right as we got to Huntsville, and then like we were there a week, and then by the time it was over with, he had already replaced his batteries again before we left.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. Like, I don't care how good the games are. You could have the best games in the world. If you can't play the system,
Yeah.
or if the system's constantly going down because you can't find batteries,
Mm-hmm.
that's big. That's super big.
Yeah. Link's Awakening was the game that I played the aerialing shit out of. Because when you got the game in there, you maybe got one more game, and that was the 2 that you played over and over
Mhm.
again. Super Mario Land I eventually got, and I played that so much that I could beat the game in like 30 minutes.
I love that simple theme. Like, doo 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 doo
Mhm.
doo 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 doo. Yeah, there were some Game Boy games that sounded better than certainly NES titles, but
Mhm.
also a few Super NES titles. Not the high end Super NES titles, but that sound chip that was in that Game Boy was pretty stellar.
Yeah. Then the other big one I think that we need to mention with the Game Boy is Pokemon Red and Blue.
Yeah,
That kind of, probably reinvigorated the like that was another like they kept getting these little
1996.
shots in the arm
well,
really.
2 things. One, I think it the system itself, but then in specific the link cable, because you needed somebody else with a second Game Boy and the other copy that you didn't have. I think if I remember, that released in 1998, maybe
96.
early. Was it 90? No.
I just looked this up.
Pokemon comes up in 96. I
Yeah.
don't think it hits American shelves until 1998.
Yeah, I didn't look up the
Uh,
times for any of the actual games, but we mentioned like the Lynx, Game Gear. Yeah,
No, 96 is the American release because before that it's red and green, which green is specifically
Pocket Monsters Red and Blue releases in 1996 in Japan, with a second release for Blue in 1999, but that's kind of weird. But Red and Blue comes up in America September 28th, 1998.
mm-hmm.
If you want,
really,
we had to wait 2 years before Pokemon came over here.
Yeah.
In that same year, I just want to stress this also right now. In 1998, we also got The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm.
We got StarCraft.
Mm-hmm.
Deus Ex was the year after, but there was another big. Half-Life came out in 1998, and there's one other big. Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
1998 for the North American market
Mm-hmm.
might be one of the greatest video game years of all time.
Yeah. This is also like how good the Game Boy is. The Game Boy Color doesn't come out until 1998.
Yeah.
Like the Game Boy holds its own.
Also,
for
the Game Boy Color was not a color screen. The Game Boys were just colored differently.
Yeah.
It's like Super Game Boy is where you could play them at home, and certain Game Boy
you could play it through
games,
the Super NES,
and then certain games would have like advanced stuff to kind of put with it. That was pretty cool. The Game Boy camera.
Yeah.
My buddy. I wish Sims was here but he would remember this. But I had got the Game Boy camera along with the Game Boy printer, and you could print out like pictures that you would take, and they had little stick-em tape on their side, and you'd stick them places. I thought that was neat. It's not a game driver, but it shows like the versatility of the Game Boy outside of stuff.
My brother still has his.
Yeah, his Game Boy camera. Good man.
I want to, if you wanted to just take the absolute worst pictures ever, get a Game Boy camera. I want to note that like that Nintendo will never take this long to make another handheld system again. From now on, it will be like every couple of years at most. But in between the time we got the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color, some more failures. We got the Turbo Express in 1990.
That one's cool. I wish it but I also kind of wish the TurboGrafx 16 had done better over here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so you have the TurboGrafx 16, 16-bit video game system. It's one of the first 16 bits alongside the Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
And you can play this. It's like, that's cool. What's cooler? Oh, those same games, the Turbo Express, you can take them with you and you can play them in the wild with your own portable system.
Yeah.
I thought that was terrific. Battery life,
and then it was a high price.
Yeah, no, I think it was like $300 back then.
Which that's the two big things really that I've saw when researching this is the failures. It was battery life. Most of the time, it was battery life, or it was high price, or a combination of both.
I
like
think
those
the
are the
Game
two
Boy
things.
was like either just under $100 or at $100.
Yeah, and you got a game with it.
Yeah,
like that was the big thing. Back in my day,
back in y'all's day,
the systems came with a game.
The Game Boy, to put this into perspective, so Game Boy is and these handhelds are considered in the 4th generation. So you have you mentioned the Turbo Express, 1.5 million units sold. The Atari Lynx, approximately 3 million units sold. Game Gear, 10.6 million units sold. The Game Boy between the Game Boy Pocket, the Game Boy Light, and all these, 64.4 million, just around that number. Holy!
Oh yeah,
shit.
they did make a Pocket, which was just the Game Boy. It was just a slimmer
version. I think that one only took 2 AA's. I didn't own it, so I can't. Tell you.
I didn't own it because I went straight from the regular ass Game Boy. Didn't have a color or anything. To the one that we're going to talk about pretty soon. One that I also remember seeing in one of these gaming magazines, I saw an advertisement for it and thinking it was so cool. The Tiger Electronics makes the game.com, which had like a stylus with it.
No. Ethan was like, what?
It looked really cool, but apparently it was terrible and it was a horrible failure.
Game.com was the first internet.
The first of game.
Yeah,
the first of Tiger's
Yeah.
handheld failures.
Yeah,
with this.
because they knocked out so much with the the Tiger handheld games. But Game.com, it was a cartridge based system.
Mhm.
You had, I think it came bundled in with Lights Out, which is
I can't remember.
It's basically a game where you have to turn all the lights out on a grid, and when you turn one light out, it turns off all the lights around it. But then it also turns on all the lights that are off around it as well. So it's a neat little puzzle game. And I think it's like, okay, this is our answer to Tetris, which is like, Tetris is like a Wagner opera, and this is like Broken Side is the best way to put it as far as that goes. Like one of them is going to last you a whole lot longer, and it's going to be of a higher quality. Just saying there, right there. But it was the first internet-enabled.
Yeah, that was the big thing about it. I remember seeing that and be like, "Oh shit, that's really cool."
Yeah, you could get your email on a game.com.
Yeah, I think that can be it. Since we're talking about Tiger Electronics, we can kind of segue a little bit into like the handheld LCD games that they put out. So many of these, and I just remember as a kid really like being enamored with them, and just like they were just the worst fucking things. They were always like a handheld, a little small, a little bit smaller than a little bit smaller and flatter, kind of like a flattened out Game Boy. It was not as thick and it's not as wide, and it had like a few buttons and a D-pad, and it had an LCD screen that it just had like pre-done images that could flash. So if somebody moved, it would like there would be a leg that like blinked from this way to this way. I remember one of the ones that I had, I think we got it from like a Hudson's or something. It was like Police Academy, and you had to collect robbers. They had ones for like name a property, and there was one for them. I think I eventually got like a Street Fighter one too at one time, and a Sonic one. Those were the ones that I remember having.
5th grade, Miss Schneider's class. I will limit out the names to protect the innocent. But I went, Jay, I got Simon's Quest 2. Do you want to play it? Oh, no, I got that. No, I got it right now. What do you mean you got? And it was Simon's Quest 2, the Tiger handheld electronic. And it's like, oh, cool. Give it to me at lunch. That'd be cool. And so, it's like one of the things about these games is like there was a pass and play culture. Like somebody, you wouldn't have all of them, but you might have like a couple of them, and then like you'd pass them around.
Y'all would trade systems
it was great.
for like a day.
Except another friend of ours got it and was playing it in class and got frustrated, and then went up to our teacher, Miss Schneider, and said, Miss Schneider, this game is terrible. And then we couldn't have Tiger handheld electronics anymore in 5th grade.
What a snitch.
It was so weird because like I would always like see these in the store and covet them so much, and then every single time I got them I was like, I mean, this is something, but it's not like great. And then I'd see the next, and I would be like, surely this Street Fighter one is great.
Yeah, because it's Street Fighter.
Because I want to play Street Fighter in my hands, and this is going to let me do it. And then it was terrible. And then I'd see the Sonic one. Surely this Sonic one will be
Sonic the Hedgehog.
I get to play Sonic in my hands. This is awesome. No, it's not. It's
Did
not.
that help Nintendo out even more? Because it was like you can play Nintendo games on the Game Boy. You couldn't do a Tiger Electronics Mario. You know?
They didn't have those.
There you go. I think that might have helped it out.
Yeah, but that's a little that's a very nostalgic thing that I remember. Like all of those being so obsessed with, and then just being so frustrated by.
Tiger Electronics were hunks of plastic, wrapped in plastic, hanging off plastic hooks at Toys R Us, which I'm pretty sure their Jeffrey in Biloxi was just made of plastic. It was just all plastic, baby.
It's no wonder that little kid went, this game sucks. So.
Yeah, and then went up to our teacher. I remember, brother.
So
if you ever hit, don't worry. We got you, didn't we? What the fuck does that mean? No,
Jesus
we never
Christ.
got anybody. That part is completely. That came. Hold on. Where's a?
I've never said anything funny.
Okay,
Yeah.
moving on. There we go.
Going on, we said we weren't gonna go chronologically, but we probably will mostly go chronologically. There was so in between the Game Boy Color, and the next Game Boy
next-
Advancement. We had the Neo Geo Pocket.
Yes, we did.
Uh,
And then also, this would be the generation of the Sega Nomad. So Sega takes it from TurboGrafx 16. Wouldn't it be cool if we could play Genesis games on the go?
Oh, this was I remembered.
Yeah.
I was like, there was I couldn't,
Nomad,
I didn't
yeah.
find it, but I remember seeing something, a handheld game where it was like you could play Genesis games, like full on ass Genesis games in on
Yeah.
handheld.
Yeah, like
That's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Sonic 1 for Game Gear is a different game than the Sonic 1
Yeah.
that was in
Mhm.
on the Genesis. But now you can play that on there. And again, I think it's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to get around the power thing.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't. I think that one took C batteries. I'm not 100%. I don't 100% remember it. But yeah, this generation, Nomad, about 1 million. Sega Nomad, about 1 million. Neo Geo Pocket, a little bit south of 2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Game Boy Color, 54.3 million. It's like, geez, like, there's,
Yeah.
what the fuck, man?
Bandai
Like,
also came out with the Wonder Swan. I remember hearing about this, but never.
Wonder Swan's going to be in the next generation. Wonder Swan has, I believe, the distinction of being the first handheld to play proper hand-up recreations of the mainline Final Fantasy series.
It also
Okay.
They didn't show up on game. They didn't because this was during the divorce time between Nintendo and Square,
Mhm.
where Square was going with Sony to much and great success, both
Mhm.
critically, financially, and otherwise, and artistically. That would be
Yeah.
the other one there. So yeah, you have the Wonder Swan. I believe the Wonder Swan Color also comes out around this time.
Mhm.
This is a part of the 6th generation. So
It
in
also has 2 D-pads.
Yeah.
I just want to mention.
so yeah, so in this generation, you have the Wonder Swan, 3.5 million sold. That's pretty good. You also have the Nokia N-Gage.
Oh yeah, this is
The Nokia N-Gage was
I remember
the funniest thing that happened in the 2000s.
I remember having a conversation with somebody about this particular thing, and they made it sound like this thing was going to murder Nintendo.
It's a phone, and you can play video games
Yes.
on it.
Now, it used cartridges. Ethan, do you want to know? Do you want to know how you put those cartridges in?
I'm going to assume you have to take the entire back of the
Yes, you
phone
have to take
off.
the entire back off and the battery
Yeah,
to change it.
and then while
So
the battery,
you see how it was?
Yeah.
You see the very top of it? You had to put your top, if you want to talk on it, you had to hold it sideways and put the top
Yeah.
the top
Yeah.
edge right against your ear. That's how
Oh,
you
God.
talk.
there were like early memes, like proto memes of people putting tacos to their head and going
Yes.
the Nokia N-Gage. Nokia N-Gage
Oh,
sold
gosh.
3 million.
Mm-hmm,
That's pretty good. Let's see what the Game Boy Advance, 81.5 million.
This was the regular ass Game Boy Advance, which I remember getting. I didn't get a new like handheld console until this one. And it was super exciting because it was the first like 32-bit handheld. So
Yes.
like it had like a pretty decent amount of power to it. You could get very close approximations of like console games with this. The only problem, it had no backlight.
Yeah, no backlight.
That's why
It
you
had
get the attachments.
No backlight, so you could see. No, sir. Attachments. No. You
Yeah.
had to learn soldering if you wanted to add a backlight. If you wanted to add a backlight to
You had
this
to-
thing, sir.
Legitimately, you had there were. I can't remember the name of the company because it was Nintendo did not sell this backlight. I want to stress it.
no,
So
no.
here's what you do: crack open your fucking Nintendo,
Yes.
undo the wiring from the battery housing to the rest of the goddamn shit. Pry open where the screen is. Pour hot metal into it. Slap in this backlight. There's a chance that your Nintendo might not work.
Yes.
If it does,
Yes.
get on the phone and call fuck nobody because we ain't fucking taking any blame for this shit.
It was the wild fucking West, guys. But yeah, the Game Boy Advance was
No, motherfucker, this was the Iron Age. We're
Yeah.
fucking pouring hot metal into anything. What the fuck?
the Game Boy Advance was a pretty big revelation.
Yep.
Ugly as shit. But they learned their lesson.
It kind of looked like the N-Gage. I think they did that to insult the N-Gage. I bet you we could make a console that looks like your piece of shit, and
But
people
better.
will buy it more.
But they learned from this, and then they made the Game Boy Advance SP, which is, I think, if most people have a Game Boy Advance nowadays, if they've bought one,
This is the one that they're going to get.
This is where they turn it into it's a clamshell type thing. It has a backlight. It still has really good battery life. I think. I don't think they get to charge.
It had a charger.
It had a charger. It had a charger.
batteries.
Yeah, it had a charger.
Yeah.
This was
But
the first.
I also think
This
they
was the
didn't
first
have,
one because the Game Boy Advance it took 2 AA batteries.
Right, but I don't think it had a stereo jack, so you can put fucking headphones.
I
to
can't
it.
remember, but
I
do
can't remember specifically.
But I do
yeah.
remember fucking loving that thing, and I really kick myself every day having sold that. The Game Boy Advance SP, I think, was like the pinnacle of like Game Boy Advance, Game Boy.
Well,
stuff.
that is the last Game Boy.
Yes, this is the last Game Boy, and then we get this is 2003 when that comes out.
Mhm.
Then, Nintendo. Back in the day was really innovative, so they decided, okay, we're done with the Game Boy Advance. We're gonna do the DS.
I appreciate where you're going, but Sony is finally like,
Oh yeah.
enough is
shit.
enough.
Yeah.
And at one of the God, to think that E3 is gone. That's how old I am. Like, but at an E3 conference.
Well, this is back when E3 mattered.
Yeah, an E3 conference. Sony shows up and it's like, the PSP is going to take a handheld gaming out of the digital doldrums, and we're gonna hit the world with high quality graphics and high quality sound and the best games and everything. And we got the PSP and its family of stuff, which I think that included the PSP Go, and there was another PSP.
There was the PS Vita that eventually came out.
The Vita. I think the Vita comes. I think that's the it's
Yeah,
like that's like the. Like that's going from like the Advance to the DS.
Yes.
Like so, but yeah,
Yeah.
that comes after. But the PSP, ladies and gentlemen, Sony sold 81.09 million PSPs in that family of product. And like that's close to the 81.5 million that the Game Boy Advance family of stuff sold. But let's check with Nintendo. So what is Nintendo DS? Was it dual screen? Oh, we got a touchpad. This seems
You got a
goofy.
stylus?
This is over. No one's going to like this. These numbers have to be worth 154 million.
Yeah, the DS has sold a ridiculous amount.
If you take the Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance sales and you add them together, they still don't match the Nintendo DS sales. Because you had the DS and you had the DSi, which came a little bit later.
Yeah. They did the
DS
DS, the DS Lite,
and then the
and then the DSi.
DSi.
So that was in 2006, 2009, respectively, or however you say it. Fuck.
The DS Lite is
2006.
the first like handheld console that I got.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're starting to get to your time frame
Yeah.
now.
So-
Okay.
However, before this, education was a big factor in my upbringing. Hang on.
No. We're letting that breathe. You got another one you can clip there, Jay.
This is gonna be. I'm gonna have an all Ethan part of the board because you mine gold, sir. Remember when like you and me we had to go to a blacksmith and learn like how to like make fucking stirrups and shit because there wasn't any fucking school when we were fucking growing the fuck up. Education was not a part of our childhood. We had to learn a trade, goddammit.
Jesus.
I only learned how to read by looking at the billboards.
I had
Ethan, go. Just go.
I had a leapfrog entertainment.
Oh yeah.
This is quality. This is good.
Yeah.
Basically, teaching children what colors and numbers are and making them into little games.
Yeah. We got one for, I think Gabe got one of these. I can't remember exactly what, but yeah, there were tons and tons and tons of these. So Yeah, that's a good little segue because I actually had like some older versions. I don't even remember. I just remember it was like there was like these little computers that had these like educational games on them, and they would be like math or guessing letters and stuff like that. I had one. It was this big gigantic plastic red thing with basically like a little. It wasn't a touch screen, but it was those ones that had like the little plastic over it, and you press the buttons down. It was like a little pad there with like numbers. I think it had a full like keyboard with numbers and stuff. And then the monitor and the speakers like just came up in the middle of like at one end of it. Then it had like a handle on the side, and that's how it was. And it was portable like that. And I played the ever living shit out of that thing. And I had several other ones like that.
The first handheld, like truly like handheld, like not attached to anything. The Leapster came out in 2003.
I remember this.
And then they came out with a later version that had it was still like a handheld, but you also had like a console that you could attach it to, and you would project it onto the TV. So I think so. Child me absolutely loved it. Every single year for Christmas, I want a new Leapfrog. I want a new Leapfrog. Everything. And then the DS Lite was gifted to me. I'm like, Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, fuck this educational shit.
Fuck letters. I want to stop on this mushroom.
If in my childhood education had been a part of it, I would have avoided getting black lung mining coal at the Matewan. I killed a Pinkerton at age 4 using just a small pickaxe. That was a bad day for all of us.
Shouldn't have tried to break that strike.
Dude, it's like, no, take that, Pinkertons.
I want to talk about one last failure. This one was in 2005 because we kind of like pushed past this when we were talking about the DS. DS was monumentally successful. I still have my original DS, and it's a tank. It's like the.
Do you have the original DS or the DS Lite?
No, I have the original DS. I also have a PSP, but it was the original one that I bought. There were some problems. They had like a pixel burn problem with it. I eventually sold that one, but then I got a new one. And I'll talk about those. But this last failure I want to talk about in 2005. Tiger Electronics tried to dip their hat into the game, into the handheld gaming. One more time with the Gizmodo. The Gizmodo. This thing was immediately a failure. Like there was not even Jay. What are the numbers on the Gizmodo? Gizmondo. I'm sorry.
So. On my screen here,
the Wikipedia article didn't even write the name down right.
I'm gonna tell you right now, there is no listing for the Gizmondo on this one right here.
Hang on, I will find this.
He will find it. Here's some things I know about the Gizmondo. There's a game for it called Mama, Can I Mow the Lawn? There's another game.
Classic.
There's another game called Sticky Balls. I don't want to look any further than that.
No. You can't put that in your search history.
And one of the things, and this allegedly, they made it out of components that were already starting to biodegrade in the packaging.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that. Like people would open their package and it'd already be fucked up. Now I talked about like the N-Gage before it actually came out. A lot of people were like, "Oh, this thing is really cool and interesting." The Gizmodo, like the Gizmondo, immediately when we saw this thing, we were like, "This looks like shit." Do you have the numbers, Ethan?
I don't have a concrete number. The closest thing I have is estimated to around less than 25,000 units.
Whoo, buddy. I think that bankrupted Tiger, if I'm not mistaken.
I also now want to stress something as well. So 25,000. The Wonder Swan sold more.
Yes, the fucking Wonder Swan.
It didn't make a full year before it got discontinued.
Yeah, they immediately was like, no, this thing is terrible.
Prior to that, though, I want to say, to me, this is not a portable system, but I did own it because it's too bulky, and it's the Virtual Boy.
Yes.
It's if there's a system
that was in the list, and I went past that. Yes, the Virtual Boy was a huge failure.
Wait a minute. I'm taking your mortar. I'll get you to the Shire. Hang on. So you have the Virtual Boy, which is
Have you never seen the Virtual Boy?
No.
I need to bring my Virtual Boy.
Oh man,
yeah.
we'll give you such a headache.
Yeah.
This was the first thing I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like a fucking robot.
Yes. Yeah, it's
we want to be fair and biased and unbiased here.
no, we want to be fair and biased.
Nintendo, it wasn't all bangers.
No,
they had some problems.
It wasn't all green and black. Sometimes it was a red and black.
Yeah,
and it really didn't fucking work.
Man.
The Virtual Boy is bad. But to me, like, if we want to include it in portables because it has the word boy next to it, okay, it had a battery pack, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you had to put it on a stand, and you had to get a right like table and chair set up, and that you could lay back with the Game Boy.
Yeah.
Good luck doing that with the Virtual Boy.
I had a friend who had a Virtual Boy, and his stand broke. So you know how we played the Virtual Boy? He had a bean bag. So we sat down belly first in the bean bag and had the Virtual Boy like we pressed it into the bean bag and like put our face into it, and we could barely breathe when we were playing Wario. What the Wario game was fucking good though. All the other games was shit.
Wario game, Tellero Boxer was actually really good.
I didn't like Tellero Boxer.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. I liked it, but I also like Punch Out. So that might be something.
It could be that I just never figured it out, but I played it once and I was like, I'm just gonna put into the Wario game because that game is really good.
Red Alarm was fucking garbage.
I think he had the boxer game.
Red Alarm was basically like, let's have the Star Fox ships fly in a field that's black and red, and we don't know what's a wall and what's open space. Shit. No, that was, oh my God. But now I've said this to set up the stage because Tiger Electronics, not to be done. Why have a handheld console when you can have a head-held console? The Tiger Electronics R-Zone.
Oh, I don't even remember this one.
It was a headband that you put over your head, and the thing would go over your eye like you're a fucking Dragon Ball Z character. And it would be just on one eye, and it was a pane of glass. And it would shoot the red. It was red and black, and it would shoot it down in the glass, and you would be looking at the reflection into your fucking eye.
Huh.
It was.
I can't remember.
Oh my God, it was bad. It was.
Wow.
It was bad. Like Virtual Boy, bad. Not saying it wasn't, but the R-Zone was like, how can we make this worse?
Yeah. Tiger Electronics had just a string of failures that really hurt them.
If they had just kept pumping out Tiger Electronics games, like I think they would have been fine because those things were like cheap to produce, easy price point, boom, done.
Well, they wanted to get into the market just like all these other people did, and then they failed horribly.
This is what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the R-Zone. You would have a thing that you would put over your head on your head.
That's like the handheld part of it, and then you like put the okay, I do remember. I do remember that now because you had I remember because it had a little like console that you held, but then you like strapped on the actual
Hey Vegeta, what's the scanner say about his power level?
I knew somebody who had that, and I don't. I'm
glad you're not naming them.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to go back to the PSP a little bit because the PSP, when the DS and the PSP came out about the same time, I chose the PSP, and it was a pretty solid system. They started off for like that first year. They also had it to where we're gonna put, because this is a disc based, so we're going to put movies also. You can buy
UMD movie.
a UMD movie. And that went away really fucking quick.
Yeah, you could watch Spider-Man.
Because why would I want to watch a movie on the PSP? But it had some
movie
really
on
good.
The go.
It had some really good games. This is where the Dissidia games, the Final Fantasy fighting games, first start off. You've got Final Fantasy Crisis Core. You've got the 2 PSP God of War games, which was that's fucking God of War on the handheld. Like there was really no difference. Like
it was Chains of Olympus
and Ghost of Sparta, yeah, which were really good games. I played the shit out of them.
I always enjoyed playing Patapon. on it.
I don't. That
Was that a rhythm game?
rings a bell.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's-
Patapon was like this cool.
It's like the
What
small
was the?
little,
There was another really. I didn't. It was like a rhythm puzzle game.
Luminous?
Luminous was it? Was
I
it
think- or
Luminous?
like
Luminaries?
it's spelled lumines.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I do remember that. It had like little
Yeah, Ethan
ink
just showed
eyeball
Brady
things.
some. So
I never played
Patapon.
that because I'm like,
Yeah.
especially at that time, like puzzle games weren't my big
Lumines
thing.
eventually came over to Nintendo consoles too.
Yeah.
and but because that's where I ended up playing. Because like full disclosure, I'm a Nintendo
Yeah.
fanboy.
I eventually got a Nintendo DS and played the shit out of it too. There was
Yeah.
it had a ton of good games. And then like this is where they really start like we're gonna start cranking out like different things. Really starting with the DS, and then then we get to 2000. So the DSi, its big thing was it had a camera with it, and you could connect to the internet and download stuff. The DS had a little bit of an online thing. I remember there was a Metroid Prime game on it that was pretty cool.
Prime Hunters.
Prime
Yeah.
Hunters, yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually played that online a little bit.
DSi is when you really get Nintendo.
I think I went to the McDonald's because they had free Wi-Fi and
Yes.
played a couple of games of
Yeah.
it.
I know with the like the DS era of Pokemon games, they had a lot of online functions with it as well.
Yeah,
DSi is I think when the shop really starts taking off.
that was the big
Yeah.
thing was the now you could like it's not just playing online, but you could like download things onto the DS to play. Like this is where you get downloadable games.
Also, wireless connection with other handhelds.
Mhm.
The Street. Oh no, the Street Pass comes in with the 3DS. But yeah, wireless connection.
Yeah.
Link cables no longer exist for these handhelds.
Oh, that reminds me of there was an innovation that was much criticized because of the amount of money that you had to put into it. But the Game Boy Advance had the cable that you could link to the GameCube, and you could play certain GameCube games. Really, I think it was Four Swords Adventure and
Final
Crystal
Fantasy
Chronicles.
Crystal
Chronicles.
Because you're mentioning the Game Boy, you're reintroducing the Game Boy. The DS, it has the Game Boy cartridge on the very bottom.
Yes, this is where there's the really cool thing that you could do with the DS, and I think even the later I think eventually they stopped doing this. I think the DSi they kind of stopped doing this, where it had a slot where you could play Game Boy Advance games and you could play Game Boy games still, which was really really cool. Then they continue to innovate with the 3DS, where you could it had 3D stuff with it, which
it doesn't have the Game Boy cartridge, but it's still backwards compatible with regular DS games.
You get the DS. This is where they kind of stop innovating and just more kind of like slight tunings. You get the 3DS XL, which is just a bigger one.
You get the 2DS.
You get the 2DS, which doesn't close. It's like this big white thing, but it's just a cheaper thing. But if you play a game that has to use the 3D stuff, fuck you. You can't play.
I just love Ethan paused for a second on the words "fuck you." It was like, oh god.
Because
I remember that the games that used the 3D, which there were a few. I think more in the beginning. I think later in the 3DS's life, they stopped kind of doing that, and we're just gonna do DS games. Really, like it's just
because I remember it had the slider to where you can either turn off the 3D function for it.
Yes, because for a lot of people it was very disorienting.
Yeah, especially with people with glasses.
Yeah, I never got a 3DS. So I remember
I had two of those motherfuckers.
Damn.
And
I bought when the 3DS came out. I bought that one, and then when the 3DS XL came out with the Link Between Worlds, it was a Link Between Worlds pack-in, and Link Between Worlds Sleeper is like one of the best.
Oh, most of the Legend of Zelda games that were handheld are just so fucking good.
Phantom Hourglass,
Spirit Tracks. You've got the Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages.
I loved like the Toon Link games. I loved those.
Yeah. Just really, really good.
The Link Between Worlds was great. That has one of my favorite stories.
Yeah,
in a
because that's the one where you can go flat and go.
You can go flat, but what I loved about it is that it's a sequel to A Link to the Past. Like it's that same world but later, and I think That's That's super fascinating to me. Like, let's go back. Like, let's see what happened in the after years of this world. I think, and they did a very good job with it.
And then
they also came out with the new 3DS.
Yeah, the new 3DS in 2015. I don't fucking know what this thing is. They were just kind of running on fumes with the 3DS, to be quite honest. But the 3DS,
I will say the new 3DS. I love.
if you remember, tell me what, because
I did not have it. It was because I had the 3DS XL. What I loved about the XL, like it was a bigger screen, but it was also a better screen. Like it moved more fluid, at least for me. Don't know about anybody else, but yeah, like I thought that was a tremendous. I thought it was absolutely tremendous.
I have the new 3DS that I just gave my brother for him to use last night.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Wait, it was your birthday and you're giving gifts?
Damn.
Technically, it was after my birthday. Technically, it was after.
That's fair. That's fair. Midnight means it's no longer birthday.
When the 3DS came out, the Sony launched the PS Vita, which was kind of a failure, but really had some really cool things. There was a lot of like touch functionality.
There's a lot of
the dual stick. It used a real, because like the PSP, the big thing, it had a little stick thing, but it was a nub, and it wasn't that great.
It also didn't it also have the thing where like the back of it was
a touch
also
screen.
Yeah, the back was a touch screen.
Like Tearaway, I think was the name of the game. Like we talk a lot about systems being failures, but even in those failures, there's games there that I think, like, again, I go back to the Game Gear all the way back. I really think that first Sonic the Hedgehog game was really well done. Fantastic Sonic the Hedgehog game. Tearaway was really good on the PS Vita. There's some other games that I feel don't get the recognition they deserve as far as being quality, because they were on systems that didn't make it.
Yeah.
Or that didn't make it as well as some other things. You mentioned the PS Vita. PS Vita lifetime 16.2 million, which is not bad, all things considered. But the 3DS family, 76 million.
Yeah.
We're talking like what, about more than 4 times as many 3DSs are in hands of people than PS Vitas. Yeah.
Then this leads us to kind of the current era. The Switch is now it's their main console, but it is also a portable console.
That's 2017, yeah.
Then 2019 they have the Switch Lite, which is just
it's just the portable.
It's just the portable.
Yeah.
And then they come up with the Switch OLED. In 2021,
that screen is gorgeous. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous.
But it's not like, if you have one, like, it's not enough to make you want to get one.
Now, strangely enough, let me say this: champions of battery life throughout the ages. Though that first generation of Switches before the OLED, before the Lite, they had a battery issue. So the batteries were actually draining a lot faster out of the dock. So like in portable mode, they fixed that. I think it was actually like a mechanical thing that they had to fix inside there. And the next generations of those were actually solid, good battery life on there. But that's the first time that I remember in history, outside of the Virtual Boy, which took 6 AA's, but I never used it portable. It's one of the reasons why I don't think of it as portable. I had the AC adapter that snapped to the back, which was weird. So the controller goes into the Virtual Boy, and the controller has the battery pack. So if the controller comes out, it just dies. It just absolutely dies. And so, but I remember like that eating batteries as well. So again, it's one of the reasons why I never think about the thing as a portable thing.
And we're eventually going to get the Switch 2.
Switch 2 sometime this year.
Yeah.
But also around the world, this is the time where portable PC gaming, and not laptop gaming, an actual portable device that you can fit in a backpack that goes, and the most prevalent of these is the Valve Steam Deck.
Yep.
I am a huge fan. If I didn't own a Switch and wasn't getting a Switch 2, the Steam Deck would definitely be something, because you can play a caliber of games. You can play a caliber of games on a handheld now that I never thought was going to be possible. Just period. Just an end of full story there. There's so many games you can play on the Steam Deck now. And one of the things I like about the Steam Deck, as opposed to some of the other, because Asus has a handheld.
They have one.
There's a few others. The Asus one kind of, because that one also, I like the look of that one. That's more of me. That's more consumer Jorge. Like, I love the way the thing looks, and just like kind of like, that's pretty cool. But what I love about the Steam Deck is you run Steam through it, and Steam does a very good job, at least for me, at least for when I've played on. We work with him, and I can't remember his name. He has a Steam Deck, and to try it, like they verify, hey, how will this run on Steam? And I think they do a very good job of keeping that up with that. We'll remember his name off the stuff, but yeah, so let's not but yeah, the Steam Deck, just portable PC gaming is now the generation that we're in.
Yeah.
And I think it's a fantastic generation. I think it's opening up the world to a lot of games that you can just play on the go. Like I think of Balatro. And yeah, I just the idea of just being able to play that portably. Do we want to briefly talk? Oh, hello.
Well, I actually have a question for you because during this time, there's also a lot of like VR gaming, and Steam came out with a VR headsets that you don't necessarily have to be like hooked up to your computer. You could just go out and go to a park and just play VR games. Would you consider those handhelds, or because
oh my God, it's the next generation of the R Zone. It's the Virtual Boy made true. Yeah, maybe
that's it. So the kind of the thing that we're in now, and this is there's no the handheld stuff that we have now, and it's mostly because the phones are how they are now. There's no difference between what you can play on a handheld and what you can play on a console for the most part. At least there's like way more crossover with, because this is a game that you can play on a console. This is a game that you can, like, not everything, not every like PS5 game you can't play on like these games, but like things that I used to could only play on like a PS1, a Super Nintendo, anything like this, I can play one for one with a Switch or with a Steam Deck. And there's tons of things, like the crossover is so much. You don't get this thing where we have to make a different game for this portable. Right. And it's not even really like we're making games for this. Like the Steam Deck we're not making games for the Steam Deck. It's just that there are games that are on Steam that you can play that you can play on there.
Well, and the
Switch is
the Doom remake from like 20, like not, and I think maybe even Doom Eternal. I haven't checked on it. You can play those on a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah, and there's not and it's because these games that are different, I have a phone for. I can just download an app to play Balatro or to play any game that, any of these like other, like this is your cell phone is the reason why there's not like a dedicated handheld gaming thing now. This is a hybrid thing that can play. Hey, you want to play these games that you were only playing on your computer? Now you can play them portably, and that's the same thing with a Switch, and that's where we are now.
There's too much crossover and too large of a gray area.
You're not going to make any money if you just make if you make something like, if Nintendo tried to make the something like a DS again or a Game Boy again, it's just not going to. It's not going to sell because, well, why would I play that? I can just download an app and play that.
Yeah,
we've kind of gone from, I want to play these kind of games on a system to, well, I just want to play on an app. I want to play, I'm out of the loop, whatever the fucking has replaced Angry Birds or shit like that, Candy Crush, anything like that. Those are the things that people have more moved towards, and that's why kind of the handheld systems, the handheld gaming systems as we've known them, have kind of shifted wildly to what they are now. And as long as we have cell phones, we'll probably never get things like most of the stuff that we've talked about. It's going to be things like the Steam Deck, the Switch, the whatever the name of the Asus one is. And yeah, I think that's where we are. So we live in a society.
Society that now educates their children, apparently.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not before.
I could have totally used some of that education.
That would have been very nice.
Yeah. Instead, I had to fight off the Viet Cong.
Charlie.
Yeah. There you go.
Are there any other notes or systems that you would like to advise of?
We've pretty much talked about everything that
I think we've
that
got at the very
had.
least
I
the
think
high
I think
points,
we've
yeah.
been through. I think we've done a pretty decently comprehensive look at the idea of handheld gaming and how it has evolved through the years. So yeah, what was your?
Oh wait, the Wii U. Technically,
No, Wii U is not a portable.
But-
They marketed it
Yeah.
that you could do things
Yeah.
that nobody did.
that nobody did. But also, like, if you get too far away from the console, it has to have a connection to the tablet. Has to have a connection to the console. You
Mhm.
cannot take that portably.
but I would say that that influenced the making of the Switch.
That probably
I
definitely.
I disagree. I think the DS influenced the Wii U, and it's different when your field of vision can capture both screens. That's one thing, but when you have a screen in front of you and a bigger screen where you have to constantly like keep checking with that.
Mhm.
The reason why the Wii U,
Well, I think the idea,
I think,
'cause-
and then I would now say the reason, but I think one of the primary reasons why that failed is because you can't keep doing.
Well,
that
another
like
big
that.
reason the Wii U failed is because people couldn't
Yeah.
tell that it was a different
A
system.
different system, yeah.
But I think what he's talking about is the idea of, because one of the things that you were supposed to be able to do with the Wii U, which I don't think anybody really did, was, okay, I'm playing the game up on the screen. Now I want to just play it on here,
on the tablet.
just not going out and actually doing and going outside and playing it, but just like in my house, I can still I can just play it on this. And I think that's one of the things that kind of like that idea kind of like brought them to. I could see how that idea brought them eventually to the Switch. But yeah, there's
See,
another.
to me, I think it's more along the lines of you can't just do handhelds anymore.
Yeah.
Your handheld has to also come your home system, and I
Mhm.
think
Mhm.
combining both of those two together,
Yeah.
like I said, the Wii U has some fantastic and you can tell it does because the Switch keeps getting remakes of all of those to put on the Switch, but I think it was Nintendo is very good at novel ideas, and I think if you look at the percentages, I think they pay off typically more than they
Usually.
don't. Like they pay off typically more than they don't pay off.
Yes.
But when they don't pay off, man, is it noticeable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. But yeah, so we hope you enjoyed this little talk about the handheld. I can't remember. I think I was the one who brought this up. I just remember I have very fond memories of the very first time when I got a Game Boy and started. Link's Awakening was the first Legend of Zelda game I played. Period. Like I never had played one
That's
before
a good
then.
jumping off point
Yeah.
too. Like that's a great game.
And I can vividly remember like you wake up on the shore and the owl comes to you, and then you have to, you have to go back and get the shield and all this. Like it's like and just the idea of I can be, outside under a tree with the breeze blowing and be playing a video game was like a really novel idea to me. And it's handheld gaming has been a part of my gaming life for as long as I've been playing video games. So I think this was a very important topic to talk about, at least when it comes to like video games and stuff like that and gaming in general. So yeah, if we missed something, write us. If there was another big gigantic failure because there was a couple of the ones where I was like, I've never heard of this fucking thing. I'm not gonna write this one down. It's not worth my ink.
Let us know so we can laugh at them.
Yes. Yes. Let us point and laugh. But yeah, so I think that's it for us. The only thing we got left to do is to say, hey, if you are in the Gaucher area and you want some role playing games or some
Card games.
you want you need that perfect miniature for your D&D campaign.
You need an unnormal amount of dice.
Yes, we have those at McDarb Gaming in Gaucher, Mississippi. Thank them. We're thanking them for this space that allows us.
Are you in a competition with another person over who's the biggest Elder Scrolls fan? Well, you come to Mechnar Gaming and you buy a copy of the Elder Scrolls board game before he does, so that you can laugh at him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also,
Every box comes complete with George R.R. Martin.
I thought he did Elden Ring.
Personally,
Oh, it is Elden Ring.
no,
Did I say Elden?
no. He's in the box. He's in the box.
Yeah, he's in the Elder.
I mean,
Elder
He
Scrolls
pops
box.
out and personally
I actually
gives
meant
you
to
a
say Elden
handshake.
Ring, and I'm keeping this in because I'm a fucking moron.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's another excuse to not finish those books.
We kidnapped
I
George
can't.
R. R.
I can't. I couldn't finish those books. I was kidnapped and put in a box.
Yeah, all of the boxes. Like every time I just magically translocate into that box.
I could finish these books if it just wasn't for
I
this
just need to
time
publish it. They
anomaly.
keep
For
putting
this
me in the
time-space
boxes.
anomaly.
How much of it? Like we blame Benioff and Weiss about the inconsistencies of life. What if everything they wrote is exactly what George R. R. Martin was going to have in the books, and he just doesn't want to finish it because like, oh shit,
I mean, they would have had a clearer vision if he would have just finished the goddamn book.
he just finished the goddamn
No,
book.
no, he has it finished. He just can't send it to his publicist because
Yeah,
he keeps being put in boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Every time he goes to the mailbox to mail the manuscript, he just not again, and he disappears.
He disappears from his feet upwards.
Oh shit!
So imagine you were farting, and then like your feet start disappearing. It's like, oh no, I hope I get this fart done before I disappear, because then when you relocate, you're gonna be in that box just full of farts.
Yeah,
It's
that
gonna be
would
bad.
suck. Although,
oh my god,
man, what kind of fucking farts have you been doing? So yeah,
I'm talking about the farts that George R. R. Martin are capable of, and that man loves his lobsters.
there
There are no holes in the box.
Yeah, this is true. The box is extremely heavy, so it might have George R. R. Martin in there for real.
It's also $200.
So yeah,
So who's
But
gonna
if you want to prove you're the Elden Ringest
and there's
man,
and it's from
do
Chip
that.
Theory, so that means you can play it in a pool.
yeah, because it's all waterproof, maybe,
Yep.
except the box. The actual box is
Yeah,
not
the
waterproof.
No. It has a plastic wrap around it.
Yeah, until you
Just
take the plastic
put
off.
the plastic wrap back on it, and it'll be waterproof.
So yeah, next week we've actually been very
We made a list.
responsible
Yeah,
and
we
actually
made a list.
and actually have our next few months,
Yes.
couple months.
We've ascribed to
mapped out.
Specifically 2 months.
We've ascribed to the notion of forethought, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen.
So join us next week for our look at it's going to be kind of a director highlight for one Akira Kurosawa. One might say the definitely the most famous, but possibly the greatest Japanese director of all time. Yeah, we're gonna watch some of his movies, and then we're going to
Immortalized by the bare naked ladies in 1 week.
Yeah,
The song.
and hopefully this will be kind of a reoccurring thing where we come back to different directors. But yeah, join us for that. We're gonna do that after.
Yeah, I think because they don't need to know our secret selection.
Yeah, so find out what movies we watched and who watched them. And then we're going to talk about, compare and contrast, and just talk about Kurosawa as a director. So join us next week for that. So rolling into the station for Travelers on the Omnibus, I am Brady Davis.
I am Ethan Skinner.
I'm James McCarthy.
Bye.
See you later.
I'm gonna have the first bit of the phone call with us.
I like how we say bye, but then we just stick around.
Yeah, we just.
I was all for when we say bye, we say fucking bye.
Yeah.
I guess I got to put my headphones on so I can hear this easier. This is riveting radio.
What if he doesn't answer?